Your voice, it may feel like an echo. Your voice, it may feel just like an echo. Fear stumbling in shadows, life has drawn the light from your bones. Then let this be for you, let courage guide you home. Your voice, it may feel like an echo, life's hand has dealt you this pain. Then let this be for you, let hope guide you through dark rain. Let the voice within you call for help. Hello there, welcome to Hope Out of Trauma episode 4. My name is Ray Coates, and Mel, who are you?
I'm Melanie Richmond. Hello, Ray.
Hello, how are you doing? You okay?
I'm good, thank you.
Good stuff, good stuff.
Tired,
Now,
but with
yes, I'm not surprised at all with what I've actually seen that has been happening around you, with you, for you. I like to think not to you. But
No.
there's been a lot. So I think that's a good place to begin. If you could bring us just, because of course there may be people observing us here and over time, because this will be permanently available, who may not be aware of what's been happening for you in the last week or so, and I would suggest even further back than that, but let's keep it to most recent things. If you could share with us what has happened over the last week or two, please.
Okay, well, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, I'm part of the Silence to Song Choir, which is the Infected Blood Community Choir. And on Friday the 30th, we released our very first song. So yeah, that's been absolutely huge for all of us. We're really excited.
And that's in 3 words, a very powerful title. Remind us, please.
It's called Together We Rise.
Which within itself is such a brilliant unifying, clarion calling theme.
Yeah, it was written by one of our members, Darren Calder. He lost his brother Nicky when he was quite young. And Darren's never felt able to express how he felt about that until he joined the choir and realized that there were others that felt the same. I could understand where he was coming from for a certain extent, because obviously I'd lost my brother, but not under such terrible circumstances. So he finally put his thoughts down on paper and he wrote Together We Rise. He's very excited as well.
I think that's a beautiful description of the journey of emotion, of trauma, into something creative. And again, when I think of Silence to Song, the choir, even with just the name, the name's powerful. Never mind when you go into deeper as to where that's come from, and that's something I want to share with the journey of the last couple of weeks, which is, even when we've got experiences of wanting to turn trauma into as best an outcome as we can, to make something from it, of course there's a lot of anxiety, nervous energy, apprehension around that. Now, I'd rather you say where the song has gone over the last couple of weeks, and I know for both of us, Mel, because I just want to kind of just put this little note in case anybody who observes comes along and thinks, oh, I'm saying for me now, you're the big I am or whatever. Are going to be major corporations that you're going to mention. But I think neither of us is, how can I put it to you, massively concerned by that, apart from, of course, the opportunity it creates for more people to know. And I think with a song like Together We Rise, the whole idea of it within the song, even though it's come from a particular incident, I think it's deeper and broader, where it can encompass other people who haven't had an infected or affected blood experience. The song still connects and unifies other people.
Oh, absolutely.
Talk to us a little bit about recent interviews and recent occurrences, and with that, maybe how you felt and others felt, if that's appropriate to
absolutely.
Share.
First of all, we were really surprised by the media interest in us releasing a song. And I think that comes from the fact that certainly for the past 7 years, every time that somebody that has been part of the community has been on TV or radio, it's to talk very negatively about our experiences and our trauma. And I think with releasing this song, they've seen a different side to us. We haven't gone on there telling our traumas necessarily, although that is obviously a huge part of it. But we've been able to share our excitement and the joy at being able to release this song, and also what the choir means to us. I'd like to give an example of what the choir has done for some of the members within the choir. When we very first formed the choir and we met in London, there was a lady, she won't mind me mentioning her name. Her name is Teresa. And she had always been very quiet about her infection and the trauma that she had been through. And we had these little yellow badges that we gave everybody when they arrived in London, to show the media there that they didn't want to be interviewed or they didn't want to appear on photos, and they just wanted to come and sing and be part of it. Since joining the choir and going away to Edinburgh and recording this song, she has completely dropped all of those barriers. She was able to come out and speak to her family about the traumas that she had been through, something that she'd never shared with them before, and is willing to go on the radio, on TV, do magazines, and be open and share everything that she's been through. And out of everybody in the choir, I think she's the most proud person that we've got. We feel so incredibly proud for her, and that we've been able to enable her to be free of that secret, that horrible, horrible secret that she's covered. And it's, for me, it's made the whole choir worth it. All the sleepless nights, all the early mornings, all the messages, all the trying to get organized, booking parks. It's made it everything worth it just for that very one person. And I think the song Together We Rise, it's about not being on your own, and it can be for anybody in any situation, because even though you think you're going through the worst trauma ever, you're not alone. And you haven't gone down that journey on your own. It may feel like that, but there are so many people that have been through that same pain, and it's a lovely song to know that others understand. We get it, and that's really what we wanted the song to be about, and it has been, and it's been very well received. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of activity around that, and with a song, and of course when the song comes from such a deep place and such a shared experience with many, that is so powerful. And there's a couple of things I'd like to share from my viewpoint, which is, this is me expressing, and I won't say too much about it, but of course the terms like scandal, infected blood scandal, I'm not saying it's the same, but I always listen carefully to wording. So when people use terms, you'll understand when I say this. People are homeless. People are homeless.
Yeah.
Now, for many, many years, I've thought that expression is completely incorrect, because they're not homeless. They have no home. But I think these are examples at times of the way that wording can be either one, used incorrectly. I'll just bypass that for a little while, because otherwise we'll be here for a long time, or misused. So let's be optimistic and say misused. And you think what that does is that word itself, it's attached to something that is, don't really want to talk about it. It's a scandal. Now, I feel as an outsider, an observer of yourselves as a community, the power of creating. And for me, in my own creative journey, and how I've taken my experience and used it, since I've come to know yourselves, that's really taken it even further for me, because I feel you're such a good example, everybody, of taking the worst trauma, the worst travesty of justice, the culpability that surrounds it, the guilt, the criminality that surrounds it, and making something from it. So that becomes even greater power than you already have. And I just wanted to share that with you as an observer, but I also think that's what all of us can do in our respective ways. So when you've gone through an experience, and when you feel so passionately, so strongly about the injustice of something, that you then are in a position where you think, I want to put this right, and I want to. I'm just so driven. Diana and Mike on the BBC interview, and I've spoken with them and got very, very briefly to know them, seeing them talk and thinking, wow. So what I'm sharing is that at times, when you place yourself in a position of almost it's no choice, there is fresh nervous energy, apprehension, fear to some degree. And you've mentioned that with Teresa.
Yes.
And many others. So have you experienced that yourself in the last week or two, with regard to the places you've been and the people you've talked to, in regard to sharing?
I don't think that this past week has been particularly, hasn't really caused me a lot of anxiety doing it, but it has after, post, before it comes out. I think because we did an ITV Meridian interview, and I was asked to get a few of the choir members together, and because of the area that we live in, I was quite limited in who I could take for that interview. So we managed to get a few people who had sung in London, and they had asked us to bring a guitar just for in the background. And then suddenly during the interview, we were asked to sing the song.
So the guitar, sorry, the guitar, just to clarify, was that one that was just lying around?
No,
or
it was one that Charlie had got years ago, and it had 3 strings missing. They'd all popped and they were all curled round. But because it was going to be background, we just assumed it'll be fine. It can just sit behind him during the interview. Anyway, we were asked to sing the song, and then she suddenly said, "Charlie, can you pick up the guitar and play it along with them singing?" And he said, "Well, I can't play the guitar. I've got no idea how to play the guitar." So she said, "Well, just pretend." So he picked up the guitar and put it on his lap, and he was absolutely mortified that he had to play this guitar on TV, and people who played the guitar would be able to tell that he, first of all, that it only had a couple of strings, and also he wasn't actually playing it. And so after the interview, I had a lot of sleepless nights. In fact, I think I messaged you and said it was a disaster and I'm dreading it coming out. But with very clever editing, she actually managed to make it look like Charlie really did play the guitar, because you didn't see him long enough. And we had the soundtrack playing to us singing, thank goodness. So it actually, the anxiety comes more after it. You know, how did I do? Rather than the build-up. With the BBC, I think because it was such... First of all, we had a 6-hour drive to get to Manchester. We literally met up with the producer. This was with Mike and Diana.
Yeah.
And then we ate, then we went to bed, and then we were up early, ready for the interview. So we didn't really have time to get nervous about it or feel anxious. I think the things we felt anxious about was, what were they going to ask us? Because we have all the answers for the choir, the song, the writers, the producer. What we didn't want to talk about was campaigning and compensation. But that didn't happen. So it was perfect the way that it went, and it gave Diana and Mike a good chance to be able to speak about their son Stuart and the fact that they have never had any justice for him dying.
Thank you, Mel. We can be, and I am going to use the word campaigning, campaigning for experiences we've been through in life. And I'm making that very generic for everybody who's with us. So generally, our heart, our passion, our knowing, our sense of this is the thing I should be doing, purpose, our purpose is aligned. Yet, even within that, even though we may appear to be where we're meant to be, there are elements of apprehension, nervous energy, whether it's before, whether it's during, whether it's after, in your case, which at times might also make the trauma resurface.
Yeah.
And I want to just share that as a general term where I'm encouraging myself, ourselves, others, to consider being more understanding towards others. Because even if somebody appears to be doing what they want to do, what they desire to do, or what they feel motivated and driven to do, there are still elements. I'll use myself as an example where I think, wouldn't it be better if I wasn't doing what I'm doing? Why do I do what I'm doing? And that's not me questioning it. That's more, it takes energy. It takes time, the sleepless nights that you've mentioned. So is there anything you feel drawn towards considering to encourage others to, whether it's at work, whether it's in the family, whether it's in acquaintances, just passerby at the shops, a way that perhaps we can understand that even if somebody looks like they're where they're meant to be, we don't actually know the energy that's going through, even though they're doing possibly what they want to be doing.
Yeah.
If you get me. So I think your experience has been that, decades, and has come to the conclusion of what it is at the current time. And even though I think there's more of a pleasurable experience in a way, because it's creative, you're creating your own positive outcome, there's still what I've just said, that anxiety and nervous energy. So I just wonder how we can, without it feeling like it might just have felt, without it feeling, we're preaching to other people what to be and what to do, how can we understand those that walk through life looking like they're really, really strong? And I think this is, you might remember, this is something I've touched on in the past as well, because I feel it's important to not forget the people who look like everything's fine.
Mm.
Any thoughts?
I think that can apply to all of us at times, can't it?
Yeah.
An example of that situation is I have, my middle son has high functioning autism, and he finds it he gets very anxious when he's in a supermarket and there's a lot of loud music and there's a lot of people, and he just starts to panic. And I think what's helped him over time is realizing that he won't be on his own in that supermarket feeling like that.
Mm-hmm.
That people would not be able to tell if they looked at him that he was having, an anxiety attack or a panic attack, although he feels like they can, but they can't, they don't notice. They're busy shopping as well. But you can guarantee in that busy shop, there's probably 4 or 5 other people at exactly the same time feeling that anxiousness that they've got to get out of there as quick as possible. I think we're all very good at covering up anxiety. We're not as good as sharing it.
Yeah.
And I think, it's very hard for people to understand that somebody else feels like that unless they tell them.
Yeah.
We're very good at painting our faces and making ourselves look well and happy and cheerful for 10 minutes when you're speaking to somebody, but that's not reality when you get home. But if you're not telling somebody, then you're not helping yourself, are you? I think there's been people in my life and recently where they've said, I can't cope, I panic, that causes me panic. And immediately I will try and help them and say, let's do this then. And if you panic, that's okay. We'll stop, we'll pause. We can take time out. Maybe you'll feel a little bit more like it tomorrow. Let's just go with the flow and take the pressure off them. That's the most important thing, is to reassure people and take that pressure off them and let them know that it's okay to feel like that, because every single person feels like that during their lifetime. Some people more than most, but we all do. You must, don't you?
I do. And do you know what's really, really interesting? Which is unlike me. So this is in work setting. I deliver driver training to an advanced standard. The company I work with, I'm doing other things which I won't necessarily talk about, but there's an anxiety attached around it, a bit more of an admin type role. And it's unlike me to do this, but I did it because I was feeling anxiety around this particular new thing I'm doing. Okay. And I actually said to the guy who owns the company today, I said to him, I know you probably won't believe it because I come across as being confident, but I'm really, really feeling quite anxious about this. And I said, I'm finding it a challenge. And that's unlike me because I've done exactly what you just said. And I felt so much better. I got rid of that slight, it comes like this in me when I do feel anxiety around a certain thing. And I think that's very important to share as well, because it's not we're anxious about this specific thing. And I tend to get like that. Everything feels tight, including my feet. My feet tend to kind of claw up a little bit. And as soon as I just said that, I can't even remember my exact words, but I just said, and I started to feel a bit of ease. I think it's a really, really important message that you've shared, because of course there's no shame attached to this. I'm not pointing a finger, because we all do this in our own orbit, in our own world, and forget when you're around those places that there are 1,000,001 people, so to speak, if not more, who have a similar experience. So when we're in the shops, as you've said, or wherever the experience might be, I think that's a shared experience. Together we rise. Together we rise. So the more we can share that, it does open a door for others. Because that's one thing I've definitely realized when I'm talking about my previous trauma experiences, whatever you want to call it, my journey through life, I'm beginning to find that people are saying, thank you so much for sharing that, because I've had a similar experience. So it's important in all elements, isn't it? In all elements.
Yeah. I wonder why we feel so ashamed of saying we're anxious or we're having panic attacks. It's a shame that people do feel like that, because it really is nothing to be ashamed of. In fact, I think it takes more courage to come out and say that's how I'm feeling than it does to pretend that you're okay.
What do you think? How do you think about that for next time?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Why do we feel ashamed to share that we're anxious? Is that a reasonable overview of a theme for next time?
No, that sounds good. I think that would be very helpful, not just for people watching the podcast, but for me as well, because I am one that would hide it.
That's one hand going up. The other hand's on the computer.
On the shaky leg.
Oh, that's brilliant. The other hand's on the shaky leg. Fantastic.
Do you think, though, that I hide anxiety a lot because I feel like I've got to be strong for those around me who are probably feeling more anxious and are showing it? And I think, well, if I lose it at this moment, then everybody goes down. So I think that's why I tend to hide it a lot of how I'm feeling.
Maybe we can preemptively encourage the comments for individuals to drop into the comments their experience around sharing openly, whether it's feeling anxious about something, disappointed. We could carry on with a list. So I'm going to promote that before the next episode 5 next time. We're moving along, and encourage others to reach out and keep connecting with us. So Mel, thank you so much. It's great to be back with you again.
And, bless you.
Keep going with the single and everything. Together we rise.
Absolutely can I just quickly say
final word over to you.
The final word is that the community really, really want the public to know that we are still fighting. We understand a lot of them think that our battle is over, but it's far from over. There still is no justice. And that's what we're fighting for. And also that this single, it sounds very quick and easy to produce it, but there was a lot of hard work that went on behind the scenes, and that we are so lucky to have people supporting us like you, Ray, You supported us in London, and you've supported us ever since. And also Jack from Marchant Music, he's really supported us, and he's produced this. So, we just, from the choir, we just want to say a huge thank you to you and Jack and everybody else that has contributed. Thank you.
Yes, the